Princess, halt. You're actually alive. Everybody had begun losing faith that you would be found alive. What's that look for? You haven't been gone for that long. You couldn't have possibly forgotten your older brother. Aren't you happy? You've been missing. You've been out of the palace for months. The Empress had sent an entire army just to find you. Villages have been burnt. Cities sieged. Thousands have already perished. And there is a brewing rebellion which could plunge the entire empire into war, all to find you. So, I would expect a bit more gratitude from you. A missing heir to the throne is not a small worry. You have sat by the right hand of our mother your entire life, and then, one day, you were suddenly gone, taken, kidnapped, and the royal guard was humiliated. The entire regime was seen as weak, incompetent, exploitable. After all, if the head of the royal guard couldn't protect the heir of the empire, what could he protect? What use was he? What use was I? So, the Empress told me to never return until you were found. And I tracked those bandits who had kidnapped you. We found their camp. We knew that you were inside. Then we raided in the night. We slaughtered the entire camp. But you were gone. Now, I wasn't going to take that information lying down, so we counted the bodies against the head count on the payroll, and exactly one person was missing, excluding yourselves. Some lonely captain either slipped out before we got there, or had managed to escape during the massacre. No doubt he was involved with you, so we set out into the forest and tracked him down. Nearly had him too. We pursued him for weeks. But of all the men that I've had pleasures of tracking down and hunting, he was the most experienced and the most wily. He led us very deep into the forest, where we had eventually lost him. But that wasn't so bad. From his experience and his speed, from there I determined that someone as fragile and weak as you wouldn't have been able to keep up with him. So, you must have escaped on your own. We fanned out and began scouting the forests, the caves, the rivers. But it was like you had nearly vanished from the entire plane of existence. Until now, of course. So, Princess, let's go. I'm tired. I'm done. You can go back to being a palace lapdog, and I can go back to my normal life of hunting and tournaments. I haven't seen home in months. Like I said, Mother Empress was furious with me. I was told to never return until you were found. I asked her one question, and What if the princess can't be found? And she spoke. She will be found, dead or alive. We will have no rest. I was almost praying I would eventually find you dead. Then at least I could take your place on the throne. You are the only daughter in the family after all. So if there was no lady in line to inherit, the succession goes to the oldest male. Even now, the thought races across my mind. Instead of hunting trips and tournaments, I could lead armies and nations, and all it would take is a single blow from my saber to that fragile piece of your body you call your neck. Maybe you don't know this, given how prim and proper you've always been. But did you know, if an elf murders another elf, our blood changes? I'm sure you know the ceremony of anointing a new empress. Her blood is taken, and a small drop poured into the pool of imitation. What you may not know, however, is that isn't just a ceremony for ceremony's sake. The pool of imitation imitates the moral quality of any liquid dropped into it. Right now, it's gold, meaning the Empress's blood was pure, free of moral sin in this world. But if blood, even a single drop, were to enter the pool, depending on their moral sin, it would change color. Of course, in your lifetime, you've never seen the pool anything other than gold. But before you were born, before the Golden Empress, as we know her, there were multiple other claimants, each one buried in sin. For example, there was the Emerald Empress, who had a green pool, representing her greed. The Crimson Empress, a red pool for her lust. And the worst of them all, the Onyx Emperor, had black, only reserved for murderers and bringers of death to the innocent. Very rarely do the reigns of Onyx royalty last long. Obviously, the entire court is not a huge fan of serving a murderer. So even if it would be so easy to cut you down here and now, even if I did, there wouldn't be any point. I wouldn't survive the first decade before a rebellion or an assassin came for my head. So, Princess, would you follow me, and we'll be leaving these woods, and we can go home, and you can go back to the palace, and I can go back to actually having a life. Why are you shaking your head? I'm sorry to say, you don't have a choice in this matter. You either come back willingly, or I'll put you in chains and carry you back myself. Why would you not want to return a palace life, every need and want satiated, waited on hand and foot, and all you need to do is keep your mouth shut. Don't tell me you are rejecting your birth obligations. For what reason? Do you not understand without you I can't return? You would condemn me to be a vagabond forever. I cannot conceive of a good reason for an elven princess, heir to the Empire no less, to return back to where she belongs. Unless that human, that lowly captain. I thought it was a bit suspicious that only you two had left, seemingly together, and his pattern of escape was leading us deeper and deeper to the forest. I imagine in the exact opposite direction of you. You must have gone to the city instead. He was deliberately leading us away from you. For a lowly human, I'll give him credit for the plan. He did have us chasing a ghost, if that was his intention. But you can't be serious. Would you tarnish your body and your blood for a criminal, a traitor no less, a kidnapper, a seditionist? If he is found, he will be put to death. If you are found along with him as an accomplice, well then, the entire world falls apart. The entire regime and order would collapse into crisis. The rightful empress derelicting her duties to chase some lowlife. Look at me. That look in your eyes. It's true, isn't it? You would abandon your obligations just to live with a traitor, unfortunately, princess. I can't let that happen. I'm not giving up my life just so you can play peasant. So, if you would be so kind to come with me, why can't I touch you? What is this magic? Where did you learn magic, let alone a protection spell? You ran into fairies, didn't you? I figured as much. Your clothes, your skin, your hair. Nothing about you screams lost in the wood for months. In fact, you look as well as the last time I saw you. Well, princess, this might stop me for now, but fey magic doesn't last forever. It does wear off, in fact. It may take days, weeks, or months, but it will wear off. And there's no chance you're outrunning the head of the Elven Royal Guard. I can and will follow you to the end of this material realm until I can touch you again and put you back in your place. One way or another, you are returning to the palace. Unless, well, dearest princess, I have a deal for you. One which I think is going to serve both our interests. You get to go off and play in your dirt pit with your dirt husband, and I get everything I ever wanted. As I'm sure you know, the Perpetual Concordat, the treaty between men and elves, which brought peace among us centuries ago, has a number of cultural conditions. These cultural conditions were aimed at fostering affection between men and elves, believe it or not. Men, for example, must use elvish forms of address, even amongst themselves. Elves must use coinage across their realms, which is not our custom. But one of the most significant was a change to elvish funerary customs. Now, princess, I don't know if you've ever attended an elvish funeral before. I would imagine the Empress would have avoided tainting her pure air with images of death. But part of being the head of the royal guard is my duties to the fallen guardsmen at their funeral. And the Perpetual Concordat stipulates that elves, upon death, shall have the tips of their ears clipped, so that they appear the same as the ears of men. It is based in some ridiculous notion that, in death, elves and men are equal. Obviously not, but that is our agreement. And so, for hundreds of years, each elf, lowborn, highborn, vagabond, royalty, has their ears clipped at their funeral. You see where I'm going here, don't you, princess? If I can return to the Empire and present your ear tips to the Empress, I can claim that you were killed, your body burnt, but at least the savages did not destroy your ear tips, which of course would be the least that they could do. And with that, the princess is dead. Nobody will be looking for her, and I stand to inherit the throne without having murdered you, and I can pass the pool of imitation without anyone being the wiser. So, princess, do we have a deal? I'll assume your nodding means yes. However, I have one and only one command of you as the new Elvish Emperor in waiting. You are to never step foot within Elvish Imperial territory ever again under the pain of immediate and swift death. I do not need a usurper appearing 200 years down the line to undermine me after her dirt husband dies. You are no longer one of us. Now, with that out of the way, kneel. Your fey magic will not protect you, provided you are willing. And so, may I do the honors? On the right, just stay still. Perfect. You must be in love with this man, aren't you? And your left. Well, princess. Well, there is no more princess anymore. Congratulations on your death. In that case, well then, peasant girl, enjoy your peasant life with your peasant husband, ruling over your kingdom of dirt. I'll leave you to find your own way out before my troop catches up with me and spots you. Good riddance.